What is real love and how does it feel like in relationships? Can you love someone without being loved?
What you believe is love or the expectation thereof is generally so far removed from reality.
Love is not all positives, right? It was a long journey for us to find stability.
But if you reduce it down to that, you're dealing with a very superficial level.
If your mental state deteriorated after introducing this person into your life, chances are it's not real love.
If you have all that, but things go wrong and your partner bails and you never hear from them again,
It wasn't love.
it wasn't love. I've tried being loving and being caring. Now I've lost my patience, and that's valid.
Yes.
And I need you to get your together. Love is also somebody that is willing to say that's enough.
So you used to believe that abuse was love.
Yeah.
How did you get out of that? Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Attachment Diaries. I'm Karolina.
I'm Gabriel.
And today we're going to answer one of your comments. Penelope wrote us, I'm wondering if you could do a video describing what love feels and looks like in a relationship. You mentioned you had a misconception about love that might have kept you in a relationship that wasn't loving. Often we just don't know what it looks and feels like, right?
Right.
So what does real love feel like in a relationship?
I think it's a pretty profound question, actually, and something that has a lot of layers to it. So
Not easy to answer.
not so easy to answer, yeah.
What is love?
Yeah. I think starting with loosely defining what is love can actually be helpful. What is love to you?
It's a feeling. It's a feeling I'm feeling, but also a feeling I'm receiving.
I would say I would distinguish between giving and receiving love. I find that how you love someone and how you feel loved are two very different things as well.
Can you love someone without being loved?
You can. I'm not sure it's healthy in the long
It's
run.
a good thing.
Yeah. We like to think, treat others the way you want to be treated, but you can just endlessly give instead of actually getting the love you want.
So would it be fair to say that real love is a love that's more mutual, that's reciprocated?
Yeah, I think definitely. You need a somewhat balanced give and take, even if it's different love languages, right? Somebody might
So
be
you don't
more...
need to give and take or give and receive in the same way.
Yeah, I think you can give and receive in different love languages. Somebody might be a big fan of quality time and make a real effort to spend a lot of time together.
And the other person can be more of a hugger.
Yeah, that's me.
This is our division.
Yeah,
I'm the quality time person, and Gabriel's the
physical touch.
You're
yeah.
the yeah.
I need some form of reassurance that you're still there.
So real love is giving and receiving, not necessarily in the same way, but in an equal amount or like of equal importance, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's very well put, of equal importance. Both sides need to feel, hey, I'm getting
what I'm wanting.
Yeah, or I'm getting what I'm wanting to the extent that my partner is getting what I'm wanting. Because I think it's extraordinarily rare
that you're getting everything you want, exactly the way you want it.
Yeah, I don't.
You're not getting what you're wanting.
It happens in movies for sure, 100% all the time. But
there are moments
in the honeymoon phase. Yeah, of course there are moments. But having this, I think that's an important point in this as well, is that movies in general, or books, fiction as a whole, can set an impossible standard for what people expect, because you have this perfect ideal where you find a partner that you match with, and you will have everything you want. It'll just magically fall into place, and that's it. That's the happy end.
That's where I feel like movies don't actually portray love, or very rarely do movies portray love. They portray getting together. Like
the honeymoon phase, right?
Or even not even, like just finding the person and like getting together. So not love, like hooking up,
Or
the process of courting and getting
early
a
dating
partner.
stages.
Yeah, like the process of coming together. But when you go further, right, past the like we're a couple now, it's usually just like skip, boom, having children. Like it's not even portrayed, I guess.
Because it's rarely nice.
Yeah.
Then it's not a romantic film, then it's a drama.
Yeah, yeah. Then it's like a divorce drama or something.
Yeah. And that I think is a important thing to keep in mind, that what you believe is love or the expectation thereof is generally so far removed from reality. Like love is complicated.
So everybody has this idea, right? That you find the right person and that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what the movies are also selling. And that's why they stop at getting together.
Yeah.
And from then onwards, it's like fill in the blank.
And happily ever after.
Happily ever after, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And is it fair to say that love is in the happily ever after more than it is in the early stages?
I would say it's definitely a better evaluation. I think having chemistry and the thrill of a new person and it feels like this is maybe the one and you've got butterflies and whatnot is a lot easier to achieve than having sustained love in a long-term relationship. I think that is the really hard part, and maybe why movies don't portray it so much, because
it's hard
to
portray.
Yeah. And it's a long journey of figuring things out and a lot of work.
Consistency.
Yeah. Which also...
accountability.
Yeah. Which brings me to another important point, I think. People tend to think, because of all these movies and stuff, or the fiction as a whole, people tend to think that it is about finding the one
right person.
And that it'll all just magically fall into place. Finding the one. And in reality, that's like expecting that you go to the gym once and you're suddenly fit for life.
But if you find the right gym, it's
Yeah.
gonna magically make you fit.
Exactly. You just gotta
Or
find
if you find the right diet, it's
Yes.
gonna make you lose weight.
Yeah.
But you don't achieve these goals without putting in the effort and
consistency.
yeah.
And it takes a lot of time and it's a journey. If you're working out, you get to learn more about your body, right? What it needs, what it doesn't need, the types of exercises you enjoy, certain weaknesses you might have, muscle imbalance. There's just so much that goes into it, and you can spend decades really refining everything. And I think that's true of any field, anything worthwhile investing in. And relationships, most of all, in some ways, are a lot of work and understanding that it's not about finding this one person that it's all going to magically fall into place with, but rather you have to invest. You have to put the time in, you have to put the energy in, you have to figure yourself out, you have to figure out your partner, you have to learn communication skills, you have to understand where your past is informing your present day
love
relationship.
feels like work.
I think it's
love feels like working out.
Yeah, I think it's a part of it. Right? Workouts can also feel tedious and like, oh, I don't want to work out today. But it's good for your body.
Or once you start, you start enjoying it.
Exactly. And in the same way, I think you need to understand that relationships are work. And I'm not saying it's just work, right? Of course, we enjoy each other's company and we do lots of things together. But it's not like a Disney movie every time we wake up.
It's not.
I mean, sometimes it can be, quite frankly, but I think that's also the payoff,
Well, yeah, it's like
investing.
Love is not all positives, right? It was a long journey for us to find stability. We had our periods where we were breaking up, where things were very painful. and we have still have fights.
Yeah.
So it's the good and the bad, and also other things that happen, right? Like life happens,
Yeah.
and having you along for the ride, that also I feel like is a big part of what love is. The security
Hmm.
and feeling like you're not alone.
Yeah, definitely. So to answer the question, what is love?
Well, what does love feel like? That's the question.
No, but we're first defining what
What is
love
love?
is, right?
Yes,
It's a complicated mix.
it's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag. It's not a movie where everything is perfect, nor should it be everything is hell. You should be enjoying your relationship, I would argue.
80-20?
80-20. I mean, 80-20 is a good ratio.
Yeah.
If you're at 70% of the time that you're enjoying it and 30% you're working,
Yeah.
that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
And sure, you'll have phases where it flips the other way around, but those phases should be short-lived, as in a few days, weeks maximum.
Or you have a month, let's say, but then months of stability that follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a couple of instances where we were put in very tumultuous circumstances, or should I say life got in the way,
Yeah.
and very,
And then like you have a couple of months that are just
that were really
bad.
hard. Yeah.
But that's like not even necessarily related to a relationship.
No, but it impacts us,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the love, if you will, feels like it's reduced then.
It's
Getting,
surviving.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then you get through it, and
You've gone through it together.
yeah, and you have a good 8 months straight, and you're like, okay, I guess that was just a dark time. Something happened,
Yeah.
there was a real challenge that we had to
Something
overcome.
changed.
Something changed.
Someone got sick.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's sticking with each other through the good and the bad.
Feeling like you can rely on this person. It's not just about this feeling, right? Like, oh, I'm all giddy. I have chemistry. I feel attracted to this person. Those are all
parts of
they're
it.
parts of it, right?
Yeah.
But if you reduce it down to that, you're dealing with a very superficial level. If you have all that, but things go wrong and your partner bails from one moment onto the next and you never hear from them again,
It wasn't love.
it wasn't love. And that to me was a big factor with us, that we did, like, you will always have life throwing you curveballs of some kind.
Yeah.
And it's not about perfection,
Yeah.
but just the bottom line feeling I had with you was that you were there. Like, it really felt like you cared, you were loyal. And I really valued that a lot. That was love to me.
It's this whole anxious avoidant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that. That's the thing that I have it now. But in the beginning, that's the thing I was missing.
Yeah.
The feeling that you were there. And because you weren't, I guess, and you were more distant and guarded, and I had my areas or my ways in which I was more distant and guarded. And I asked myself this question many times: is this real love? And I had moments of thinking maybe it's not. And I think this, being willing to ask yourself this question and like go there, is also part of it. Like, that real love is when you let go, that it's not the end. Because I did, and it wasn't the end. And then you cared enough, or like you picked it up where I would leave it and you'd make it right.
Yeah. That both sides are pulling equal weight.
Yeah.
That it's not just one person making the relationship happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of ties back to the mutual giving and taking.
I have to say in my defense, it is true about the being reliable, that I had that a lot less, or the appearance thereof.
Yeah, because deep down you would be. You'd just
Yes.
like pretend to let me down, and then you'd turn up in the last moment, which
Yeah.
was really frustrating.
But the same is true the other way around. The areas in which I wasn't getting what I needed from you, it felt like, oh, this is not love. This can't work because my needs are not being met. But you did something that ultimately helped me feel, okay, you're coming through, or you're trying. There's that, the intention was there, which is why I think the word loyalty is the thing that fits most for me, where you feel like it's maybe even in their character
That they're capable of loving.
that they're capable of loyalty, and that's a slice of love. That's one way of expressing it. That you are invested in this person, and that you have got their back, even if you break up. That you don't just suddenly stop caring for this person. That they are a person to you. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because there are all these labels, like we're together, we're broken up.
Yeah.
But these are like just words.
Right.
Feelings don't work like this.
Yeah.
And if someone says I'm broken up and then stops caring or stops making any effort, then maybe it wasn't love. Maybe it was just like some sort of deal that you had with each other.
An arrangement.
An arrangement.
And it's different when the person doesn't want to be in touch anymore after a breakup because it just hurts too much.
Yes.
I get that. But if they stop caring from one day onto the next, then they never cared to begin with.
Yeah.
Feelings don't just fade like that.
And there are people who do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who just vanish or, yeah.
Find a person that seems vulnerable enough, desperate enough, and exploit that until it's no longer working, and then they're off to the next.
But usually it is then in a more one-sided relationship.
Where one side is making it happen, right?
Or when one side's compromising, for example, to make it work and adapting, and the other side is not.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of male clients who are stuck in relationships like that. You'd think prejudice would be against men, but I imagine it's 50-50.
Where they are the ones that are
totally exploited, or
their partner doesn't care.
Yes, their partner is, when it comes to women, is writing this like, I am so good looking, I am so attractive, this guy is smitten with me, I'm going to, like, this relationship gives me a lot of validation, and this is like a constant ego boost, but when I find someone better, I'm just going to jump ship.
So with love being so complicated to define even, and understand where is it maybe even abuse and where is it love, what would you say are good things to look out for to understand whether it is love or not?
Definitely your mental state. If your mental state deteriorated after introducing this person into your life, chances are it's not healthy. It's not real love. But if your mental state stayed the same, I'm not even saying it got better. Like, if it stayed the same, that's good.
Yeah.
That's fair. And maybe even temporarily got better, and then it came back to normal. I think that's to be expected. That's yeah. So yeah, mental health.
Yeah, mental health, yeah.
Yeah, mental state, how much you drink. right? That kind of stuff. How active you are, whether you're gaining weight. All that's what I see a lot among couples, that they get together and then sometimes both of them can start gaining weight or start drinking more, and that's like a sign it's not necessarily health or something's wrong.
Yeah. It's easy to get too comfortable and say, well, I've got the ring now, so we're set, and let's just settle.
Yeah, but it's also, I like settling, sure, is a part of it, but like, why are you, you know, binge eating? Why are you binge drinking? Like something must be depressing you.
But that can also be prior.
That can also
to the relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
But if it happens right after.
Yeah.
If that's what changes.
Yeah. What it makes me think of is how it worked for us. That when we got together, I had all sorts of baggage, right, from 100% unrelated to you. That's what I was bringing into the relationship. And there were various aspects where I was unaware that I struggled. Or let's say I had awareness that I struggled and I had a problem in a certain area of life, but I didn't understand just how deep the problem ran. And you played a big component in helping me understand that there's a problem and it needs to be fixed. And I think that's a huge part of love. Like, you also need boundaries. You can't just, had you just been endlessly supporting, I have clients that are stuck in decade-long relationships, multi-decade, where they have been endlessly understanding to their partner and just giving and patient, and it never goes well because you build so much resentment towards the partner that is not changing, because they're going by the philosophy, treat them how you want to be treated, thinking that's going to fix them, and it doesn't. You need the boundaries as well. And I think we found a good balance between understanding, okay, like, I've tried being loving and patient and caring,
but I lost my patience now.
Yes, now I've lost my patience, and that's valid.
Yes.
And I need you to get your together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, when you stepped in like that, when it was necessary, I needed that.
Well, it goes both ways.
And it goes both. Exactly, it goes both ways. But to say that love
is being fair,
is being fair with an equal balance of being loving, kind, and patient, and having firm boundaries and saying that's enough, or this is not okay, or you have a problem, we need to talk about this.
Yes.
And without,
or this isn't working for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of this problem.
And without having that, any relationship deteriorates, and it becomes not, it might even have started out as love.
Yes.
And then it stops becoming that. And I think
then you're just tolerating each other.
Yeah.
And harboring more and more resentment.
Yes. Yeah. And it can spiral into hatred and just having nothing good to say about this person anymore. And I think that's what we got right and continue to get right, that we're calling each other out.
That we lose our patience.
Yeah. And say, that's enough. Like,
enough breakups.
Yeah. Or, you're like, just having boundaries.
You needed me to admit that I was wrong about things.
For example, right? So yeah, I think having that balance is really crucial, and understanding the value in it. Like, I really appreciate it for the fact that not only did it help keep a balance in our relationship, but it helped me grow. It helped me understand,
me too.
Yeah, I've got problems I need to deal with here.
Yeah.
Problems that existed long before you came into my life.
Same here, yeah.
Yeah. So love is most certainly also somebody that is willing to say, that's enough. We need to talk about this.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you're going to run into bigger problems sooner than later.
Yeah. And it's also about admitting and daring to say it. A lot of people don't say it, not just because they want to be endlessly giving, but they don't want to upset the other person, or they're afraid that if they say it, they'll just get rejected.
Yeah.
And yeah, being able to stand your ground is one thing, but you also have to dare to risk getting rejected and hearing like, no, you're not getting this, or I don't care, or
Yeah. The pushback is inevitable, right? When
yes,
somebody calls you out on your BS, you're like, no. And the default is to defend it. And you need somebody that persists enough, gently enough and firmly
tells
enough.
you that, insists that no, I'm not the crazy one. You're the crazy one.
Exactly. It's a bit like being parental again, right?
Yeah.
To an area of life where somebody might have some arrested development, and you say, listen, sweetie, when we
Your
finish
insistence
playing
on
with the toys, we put them away. We don't just leave everything sprawled out.
No, we don't. What about clothes? Those we leave, right?
Those we leave, yeah, for sure. On the dedicated chair. So in a way, it feels like I think we all crave a partner that has certain parental elements as well for the parts of us that didn't receive that, that can say, I love you, you're doing great, and is encouraging and patient, and also says, okay, that's enough now.
That's enough TikTok for today.
That's enough TikTok for today.
Come
but
on,
you guys stay on.
Come on, let's go for a run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that actually feels, to me, that really feels like love. Having that balance. And if you're only strict and only have boundaries and are only critical, or that doesn't work
that
either.
also doesn't work. It has to be like, no, I want more 5 more minutes of TikTok.
Yeah.
You have to be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
5 more minutes.
Yeah. Like you like being like, I don't want to brush my teeth. I don't want to brush it. No night goes by that you don't brush your teeth, but you like to complain about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, you don't want to brush your teeth, honey? Okay, no. Yeah, brushing teeth is hard, man.
Especially when you're tired.
Especially when you're tired.
So you can't be just strict, but you also can't be just lenient.
Yeah. Do you see those two extremes with clients?
Yes. Yeah.
What would you say you see more of?
I see both.
Yeah.
But I'd say boundarylessness I see more of.
The people can't set boundaries.
Yes.
And they just give too much of the patience, understanding, and love.
They put themselves on the second place. They neglect themselves. And they try to give the other person what they would want themselves to receive. But it's not necessarily what the other person even wants. So it's a bit like a trap. You're giving what you're hoping to receive, but your partner might not get that, or they usually don't get it. And then they might be giving you they are hoping to receive.
Yeah.
And you're both just talking past each other.
Right.
I think we had that too, to whatever degree.
Yeah.
And it was in communicating and being honest and like snapping out of patterns and routines that we actually got through to each other and could understand, okay, Gabriel needs more affection. I need to learn to be more affectionate because that's something that I needed to learn from you.
Yeah.
And I needed you to be more active.
Take more responsibility.
Yeah. And then you needed me to take responsibility for my feelings and not just expect you to guess them and to ask for what I want. And then it turned out I also needed you to ask for what you want.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And this brings me back to that. A relationship is work, and investing in yourself and your partner. And
so love feels like a workout.
Love feels like a workout. Yeah. There's certain painful elements, but ultimately it really pays off.
gets the endorphins circulating,
Yeah,
right?
and you look good and you're happy with yourself,
Yeah.
and that
You
goes
have more
both
energy
ways.
and
Yeah, and you have a synergy then
Yeah.
too between each other.
So about misconceptions about love, what did you used to think love was supposed to feel like?
Damn, that one cuts deep, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I believed love used to feel like was just abuse.
Yeah.
Because you have a default standard that's been set to you in your childhood, right? This is what attachment styles also explore. So if what you were raised with is like it's a ratio, I would say it's rarely 100% abuse or 100% love, right?
Yeah.
Parents are not perfect, they're people. But in my case, I can confidently say it was predominantly bad. And that was my standard. So I sought out people and relationships where people didn't treat me well. And I believe that was love. So it was a lot more of the punishing and a
Mm-hmm.
lot more of the reprimanding,
Mm-hmm.
and you should feel bad. You did something wrong. You're a bad person. You're an inconsiderate person. That was the punishing language. And when you're in the midst of that, you just believe that that is love. This person means well. They're just looking out for me. Clearly, I have done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I am bad. I am inconsiderate. I shouldn't have done X, Y, Z. And the truth is, it's always somewhere in the middle. Like, sure, you might make a mistake, but do you need to be punished to that extent? No. Like, you need somebody to call you out, set the boundary, but then encourage you to do better and call you out again if you do it again, right? So I think my love compass was way off, way off. And it was only with us and, going through our 10-year plus journey
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like I was able to recalibrate.
So you used to believe that abuse was love.
Yeah.
How did you get out of that?
I think, you know, this relationship, everything we talked about. I think it was a journey. Again, I find it helps to compare it to workouts
Mm-hmm.
because you might think you're at a certain fitness level and you then do a workout and realize you can't do it. And you gain more awareness of where you're actually at. And so, in the same way with a relationship, when you try do a relationship and you just have these negative experiences over and over again, something in you is telling you like it's not working, it's not working. And you were kind of that outside force that was treating me in ways I hadn't been treated before, which made me feel like, like there's a different way to go about it. Normally the script is this is
How
bad.
dare you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How could you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you weren't that way and treated me with a lot more patience and kindness and were curious really redefined my expectations. Like it was a long process.
Mm-hmm.
Always waiting for the other shoe to drop to realize it's not gonna drop. But anyway, what about you? What were your misconceptions of love?
I think I had a lot of misconceptions about love. I think I was afraid of being trapped and afraid of being put into a particular box. That's maybe what I thought the societal expectation of love is, like fulfilling a function, or that was a bit of energy I got from guys that would just like assign certain roles and expectations.
Mm,
But it's not preconception of love that I used to have. It was more like something I would just endlessly try to dodge. Then a preconception for me was definitely a bit of the drama aspect, that when you love each other, that you have these like high emotions, high feelings, heated fights, or like that you leave and you come back. This like
Dramatic reunion.
yes, the reenactment of my parents' fights and like driving away from each other in a car. I guess that's what it was.
Right.
And I did get that in our relationship, and I was like, what the hell?
Right.
And it was also a way of healing from it, because I realized like, okay, I found that and I'm over it. You know?
I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, I'm good. So there's that, and I think also emotional distance, or like emotional isolation, that is something that you helped me get out of. That like I was stuck a bit in a world where everybody's separate and I was in my own bubble, and you're so
Clingy.
in your own ways. Yeah. You're so considerate.
Well, what a plot twist.
You'd like check one of the things you did was the checking in. Like you always wanted me to text you when I got home, which was a bit annoying sometimes, and I kept forgetting and stuff. But it was nice.
Gotta make sure you get back safe.
Yeah.
No discussion.
But I thought it was nice, and like you'd just call out of the blue, and we'd just talk, and made plans, and you're so affectionate, and cuddly. So
I do like cuddles.
yeah. But I think also my preconception about love, I mean, I had no idea as well. I didn't know what I was looking for, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. When we got together, I didn't think, okay, I'm going to marry this guy. I was 25. I still at university. I just traveling around, and like the level of chemistry we had definitely was a bit like mind-blowing. Like I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think that existed. So
That's
that
straight
was
out
like
of the movies.
yeah. Such a cliche. Yeah. So that was like a nice surprise.
I'm glad I could surprise you. You surprised me equally. Yeah, so I think having some awareness that what you believe is love is likely not the full picture is really important. And a lot of people must learn it the hard way, that you go through the world and your relationships thinking, I've got it all figured out. I know what love is. I know when I'll find the one.
Or
And
I know what I'm looking for.
yeah. And you go from one relationship to the next and experience repeated heartbreak.
Or you're in one relationship and you experience repeated heartbreak.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah.
And over time, you're just like, something's not right. And you're not sure anymore whether this is love, whether I love this person, what I'm looking for, what I need.
And I think that's also part of love, because I definitely had moments like this. I'm sure you had moments like this when things are tough, or when
In question.
you question, like, because no relationship is perfect. And when you see, okay, this person has limits, or like you have your issues and they're not going to go away, they're not going to vanish, you're like, oh damn, what did I get myself into? And I remember moments like this you had with me, or so disappointed about certain things.
Yeah.
I was equally disappointed about other things. So being able to get through it and have a person see you for who you are, with like the shortcomings and limits, and still love you.
Yeah, accept you.
Yeah, accept you, not abandon you.
Yeah.
Like that's very powerful. That's like
yeah, and we most certainly both had those moments.
Yeah.
And which brings me to another important point worth really conveying, is that it's always on both sides. If you are in the headspace that you think you have it all figured out and your partner is just the problem, that's why you're not experiencing love, you're already in the wrong headspace. You are not perfect. You have problems.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody is perfect. And I certainly rode the high horse quite a lot in the past, and it was a humbling journey to be like, no, I've got issues
It's
too.
funny, right? Because often in the areas where we're most controlling,
yeah, we have the biggest
that's where
gaping
we have
holes.
the
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So I think starting with saying, okay, it's both of us. This is a dance, and
we're both the problem.
Yeah, we're both the problem. And you mentioned communication earlier, and I think that is what's so important, because if you haven't got communication figured out, you can't convey all these feelings and thoughts in a way that is accepted, and vice versa. So you don't even have a chance of
You're just talking
building
past
real
each
love.
other.
Yeah, you're just talking past each other.
So would it be fair to say that this original butterfly moment, honeymoon phase, the first 2 months of bliss, that's like bud of real love, like a sprout?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then the plant that ends up growing out of it is like the real deal.
Yeah.
And that comes later.
Yeah. You got to hit the gym consistently.
Yeah. Last question. And that's about the butterflies.
But this is I think it's a very good illustration with the plant, right?
Yeah.
It takes a while for any plant of significant size to grow.
Yeah.
It's not just about the first weeks or months.
And you have to weather the storms and the droughts, and
this metaphor just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the floods.
Yeah. Last question. When you think of the butterflies, or like, I don't know, chemistry and stuff, what was more intense, the past or the present?
I think in the past there may have been bigger spikes and then bigger downers for me. Now it feels more like a steady flow of butterfly. It's nice, There are thrilling moments, but it's more just like holding a steady course and trusting the feeling of safety, I suppose, and trusting that it's going to be okay. That I have today, and I much prefer that over the crazy spikes and ups and downs, and where you don't know, is there just a storm ahead, and is this going to last? And how about you?
I would say now they're actually stronger. You can get excited like in the beginning, and you have an idea, but it's just an idea. Having the real deal is so much more rewarding. It's a bit like driving on a computer versus driving in real life, And I find the butterflies and the honeymoon phase, they're so fleeting because they're so vague, or so like it's just an idea. Versus when you have, it's like a better high,
Yeah.
It like actually can be more intense because you're not going from 0, but like you're going from 50%, and then you get the butterflies, and
because you have the foundation built already, right?
Yeah.
So anything that comes above that on top of it is just additional bonus.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. I suppose it's what I'm saying in my own way about the steady course.
Yeah.
It just feels like, it is better and better. Yeah. So a real love should also feel like improvement.
Yeah. And like moving forward together, like growing together.
Yes. Changing as people.
Yeah.
And your relationship changes.
Maturing,
yeah.
And also achieving things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's not in professional context, right? Not everybody works together.
Yeah, but
But
even
if you're
if you have separate careers, you can support each other
yeah,
in your
exactly.
individual
Yeah.
careers, or
Or you're doing projects together
yeah,
or activities together.
you're hiking higher and higher mountains,
Yeah. Some sense of living and enjoying life.
accomplishment.
Yeah. Not just surviving it, not
Mm.
just surviving the relationship either.
And not just the grind, right? Not like day in and day out, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Not just routines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that somewhat helps us define
Real love
real love.
and what it feels like.
Yeah. And what it feels like in a relationship.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Leave us a comment with other ideas for our next videos. And if you have any questions or if you'd like to share your story, also do so and we'll try to get back to you.
Yeah. And if you're listening on a podcast, feel free to follow. Give us a like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content. And we'll see you in the next episode.